I don't need a locomotive for the field railway yet, because it's still short and we can push everything around by hand. But still, it would be kind of fun, wouldn't it? And one day, when the railway is much longer, then it might be necessary too, for moving big trees around. So I thought I'd run through some options and you can help me decide which type to explore. We could use a donkey or a horse to pull the wagons. We have those already, and I know they do their best to help, but they do take a while to tackle up each time, and they don't do reverse gear very well, and they wouldn't like walking between the rails because ours are only 15 inches apart. So they'd need their own little path alongside the rails, which would be expensive to lay down, but that's one option. Another possibility would be a person-powered locomotive. They look like something I could have fun making. But I was thinking about this and I decided they actually only make sense if you want to go faster than walking pace, which I don't need to do. If we can walk along and push the wagons, then that would surely be more efficient than building some mechanical contraption that uses the same amount of available energy to try to do the same thing. Which brings us to a powered locomotive of some sort. But powered by what? Lots of people have suggested converting an existing machine, things like a two-wheeled tractor or a go-kart. Good ideas, of course, and although I'm just a beginner at all this, I'd like to think I could figure out a way to do just that. Even though a locomotive needs different things. For instance, it would need to be four-wheel drive for traction, and it would need brakes and suspension to keep the wheels on the rails, and it would need a reverse gear too. But, on the other hand, locomotives don't need a steering wheel. Any one of those would make an interesting project for sure, but I'm really not a fan of those little noisy petrol-gasoline engines anymore, so I'd be more tempted to try to find a nice old vintage engine and build a loco from scratch around it. Finding the right sort of engine would be a challenge though, living where we do. Then there are locos that use an electric motor. In theory, I could convert a golf buggy or a scooter or something like that. That might work, or start from scratch. Sometimes these use just batteries, which need to be charged up in between journeys, and sometimes they have an engine that keeps them charged up as you go along. And apparently these are great because they are extremely easy to control forwards and backwards. So those are all strong possibilities, but we can't ignore steam engines, can we? There's just nothing like them. The advantage is that, in theory at least, we could provide the fuel to run one from our own little farm. They don't need to run on coal, they can run on wood or charcoal, and seeing as charcoal production is exactly what this whole railway is for, that is quite an incentive. But a conventional pressure boiler steam engine is a big, heavy, complicated piece of machinery and way beyond anything I've ever built before. They also take a long time to warm up, so they're not that versatile, and they occasionally blow up spectacularly. So there are regulations about what size you can play around with, and I don't know what those regulations are in Ireland, but they're there somewhere, I'm sure. So a steam engine, however tempting, wouldn't be cheap or simple. There is a sort of steam engine that runs without a pressure boiler. It's called a flash steam boiler. But I haven't found any examples of train locos using them. So maybe there's a reason why they don't. I just don't know what it is yet. And then there's a sort of steam engine that doesn't use steam at all. They run on compressed air. You just need to carry around bottles of compressed air, or maybe make it as you go along somehow. And then there are these things, gyroscopes, that powered whole buses once upon a time, but again, I haven't found any rail track examples. Anyway, there you go. So many choices, and what have I left out? Each has advantages and disadvantages. Which one would you choose? I'll read every comment and suggestion that comes in, and I look forward to learning a lot. Thanks very much for your time.